Hello, everybody. My name is Cameron Earl, and welcome back to another Villainous ranking. Now, this is one that I feel like has been long overdue, actually, and that is a full Villainous ranking. But I'm not ranking like all the villains. I am ranking all the sets. I'm ranking all the Disney Villainous sets, all the Marvel sets, and all the Star Wars sets, and I'm also ranking Villainous Unstoppable. Along with it, that's just one separate game. Um, with Villainous sets, I might as well include this one here. Actually, um, last place goes to Villainous Night Out because I just don't really. Eh. It's not even really Villainous set. It just comes with some keychains and some stickers in case you have like a gathering or a party and you play Villainous there. But yeah, we're ranking all. Let's see, we have. If I do include the Villainous Night Out, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 sets even. The rank. I already talked about Villainous Night Out. It's just some keychains and some stickers that I've never really used. But now let's get to spot number 19. In last place, I feel like a lot of people would see this coming. I have Disney Villainous Introduction Evil. It does have the Disney 100 stamp, which is probably the best thing about this set. Also, the box is just really cool. Yeah, this set ain't really all that great. So this set is Introduction to Evil, where they kind of just made the rules a little bit more kid-friendly. It comes with a revitalized version of Ursula, Maleficent, Captain Hook, and Prince John. And honestly, I don't particularly find any of these villains enjoyable. Probably my favorite one to play in this set is Prince John, and I'm not the biggest fan of playing Prince John in general, but he's actually the only villain in this box who I think they improved. Well, they definitely improved on Ursula, but I think Prince John definitely got the best improvement where they made him have to have Robin Hood at the jail. I thought that was pretty cool. But two of these villains didn't really need changing, and two of them kind of did. And I think the two villains that actually did need the changes were pretty decent. I think they ruined Maleficent and they absolutely butchered Captain Hook. Captain Hook did not need it at all whatsoever. And at the same time, they pretty much replaced this set, or they pretty much replaced the original Wicked to the Core set with this set. They took out Jafar and the Queen of Hearts, and on the side of all the boxes after Introduction to Evil came out, where they'll advertise all the sets in like the instruction booklet and stuff, the Wicked to the Core ain't in there. But this one is. And I'm really hoping that they don't just decide to make one of their sets next year, just a set with Jafar and Queen of Hearts in it. It doesn't make sense. I do not think this set is needed, and I would honestly just play any other set over this set. Really unnecessary. I get that Villainous can be complicated, and kids might want to play it, but if you already have all the sets, I wouldn't really waste your money on Introduction to Evil. And in my humble opinion, it is the worst set of the bunch, of all 20 of them. Alright, so next we have another set that kind of just revitalized the villains, but in a different way, and that is Disney Villainous Unstoppable. And once again, we got another Maleficent and another Ursula, but we also got a new Scar and a new Hades. And the point of this game is pretty simple, so it doesn't revitalize the roles and remake the villains like Introduction to Evil does. It does actually bring something new, where all the villains play on the same board, but they also have their own boards on the sides, and you got to play these cards that have certain actions on it. And basically, each villain has their goal. Hades has to get the Titan marker all the way to Mount Olympus. Scar has to get all 4 hyenas on his board. Maleficent has to build her dragon puzzle, thus transforming her into the dragon. And Ursula has to turn all the sea creatures on her board to poor unfortunate souls. But I didn't really find it super interesting. I didn't find that it was a set that we needed. And honestly, the one time that I did play this, or the one or two times, I did find myself just it wanting to make me play regular Villainous more. So once again, oh god. And it's more or less a set that just makes me angry because I know that, you know, they put all this time making this board game with 4 villains when they could have spent their time giving us... They made a whole new board game while changing up the characters a little bit when evidently they could have just given us 2 new villains along with the 2 sets we already got this year. And the 2 sets that we already got this year are actually really good. But yeah, not the biggest fan of this, and I think it was unnecessary. But if you wanted something that was a little switch up from the Villainous formula, there you go. Okay, so we are leaving the Disney territory, and we are getting into the Marvel territory with We Are Venom is the next set. Now, Venom is not a bad villain to play by any means, and yes, it is a set that comes with simply just Venom, and that's partially down why it's down here. Despite having like the best villain mover out of any of the sets, Venom isn't one of my absolute favorites to play in Marvel Villainous. I don't even think he's in the top half when I ranked him not too long ago. But like, yeah, he's actually really fun. But the thing is, his gameplay is really repetitive. You find the same Spider-Man, you play him to the same location that you usually do, and you just play the same exact cards over and over again. I think the whole symbiote thing with him, where he could play symbiote tokens on basically any hero anywhere with some of his cards, and make those heroes lose strength, but sometimes he gets destroyed by, like, Hela. Like, if you're playing him against Hela, Hela's just going to take Spider-Man over to her board while attaching a soul mark to him, and then you have to do the whole thing over again. And honestly, it's bad. Because Marvel Villainous sometimes doesn't think about the fact that some characters have cards that can really screw over somebody else, but you can't really do anything to them. But I don't think Venom is fun enough to be worth having just his own set for $18. Probably more now, from the time it came out. So that's why he's here. I just don't think that he was worth the money. But I can have fun with Venom, but yeah, he's not one of my favorites to play. Alright, we are going back to Disney now with our next set, and that is going to be a set that I notoriously hate, and that is Bigger and Badder. So, the 3 villains that come in this set are Lotso Huggin' Bear, the Marvelous Mad Madam Mim, and of course, Syndrome himself as the front villain here on the box. And all 3 of these villains suck, in my opinion. Lotso especially. Lotso is notoriously my least favorite villain in any of these sets to play. I do not like playing Lotso at all. Madam Mim's a villain that I can have fun with very rarely, but I never win with her, and I understand because everybody says she's the most powerful villain, and I see so many people win with Madam Mim, but she is that one villain that I just cannot get under, and I don't know why. Like, I win nearly impossible games with Mother Gothel against people, and I can't seem to win with Madam Mim. I don't understand it. And then there is Syndrome, who I think is the only good villain in this set. Well, no, I'm not going to say good. He's not even that. He's not that great. His rules are written terribly. If you're just getting faded the whole entire time, there's no way you can win because you always have a hero on your board. And That Was Totally Wicked card can completely reset the game for you. And you'll have to go back through your whole entire deck again. And then by the end of that, you literally just can't win the game because it took too long for you to get all those cards. Yeah, so none of these villains are particularly good. Syndrome and Lotso have very, very unfair cards, I would say, in their Fate deck. And Madam Mim, I just can't get behind. So I think this was a dud of a villainous set. I don't particularly have fun with any of these villains pretty much ever. and whenever I'm playing with friends, I rarely ever even touch this set. The only time, actually, I can't remember the last time I actually looked at one of my, like, played Villainous with one of my friends, and I'm like, hey, I want to play the bigger and badder set. This set's honestly just garbage. But at least it comes with 3 villains, which is more than I can say for pretty much all other ones. And here we have the next set, which I think this set is the other kind of like dud villainous set, and it's mostly just because of one villain. We got Despicable Plots here, which comes with Horned King, who has just the coolest villain mover. That's pretty much the only good thing about Horned King is the villain mover. Lady Tremaine with her butt hair. And we have the title villain himself, Gaston, which is just such an never-ending disappointment, Gaston is. So, if there's a villain I hate playing almost as much as Lotso, it is Gaston, and it's kind of because their Fate decks do the same thing, you know? Where every Fate card just completely resets you, and you never have a chance of winning if your opponents just keep fading you over and over again. But I think Gaston can bounce back a little bit from that. I don't think Gaston's the most difficult villain in the game. But they also could have done so much more with Gaston. Because the whole point of Gaston is to, you know, get the girl. But then once he realizes he can't get the girl and thinks she's delusional, then his goal is to kill the beast. In this game, you can't even win if you have Belle on your board, which makes 0 sense because he wants Belle. But you can't win if you have Belle on your board. And if you kill the beast, it pretty much does nothing. So there's no thematicness to this character whatsoever. His goal is simply just to remove 8 obstacles from his board. All of his cards are super expensive, and he can't gain power fast at all unless you're putting back your own obstacles with Swoon to gain 3 power. In which case you could play some card combos that get rid of a lot of obstacles. But pretty much the whole game is just super repetitive, bouncing back between locations, gaining power, playing the same effect cards, then getting your obstacles put back on your board with fake cards. When they could have done so much more, they could have done like a Queen of Hearts / Radigan thing where he had to marry Belle. If that doesn't work, then he has to kill the beast. And, you know, honestly, I just don't know. I don't know if they rushed Gaston or if they just didn't feel like making him too similar to other villains. But Gaston is such a bad villain. He is by far the least thematic villain in any of these. Now let's not waste too much time on Gaston. Let's talk about the other villains too. So my favorite villain in this box is definitely Lady Tremaine. She's the only one that I can actually enjoy playing. And I don't think Lady Tremaine's bad. It's just, you know, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get the fairy godmother on your board, and it's really hard to bounce back from that, and it definitely is. But I don't think Lady Tremaine's that bad per se, but she's definitely this set's definitely dragged down by the other two. And Lady Tremaine's not even one of my favorites to play, so she doesn't bump this set up too high. But yeah, I don't think she's actually all that bad. Definitely the shining star in this set. But let's talk about Horned King. Earlier I said that this piece was the only thing good about him. And yeah, Horned King is a slow villain to win with. He's one of those villains where you actually have to make it so you can buy time for yourself, because you can only do one part of your goal on your turn once, so you got to take multiple turns to actually try to win. So you got to constantly be buying yourself time with either fade actions or having opponents fade each other and not you. But on top of all that, you have to find the cauldron first, and there's a few ways to do it, but a lot of time it's going to take you a while to find the cauldron, and then you also have to activate it. Activating it's not that bad, but then you gotta hope you don't get all your cauldron born at the start of the game, because then you'll have to discard them and go back through your deck again, which could be tedious, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But once again, just like Gaston, Horned King has a really serious power struggle, and while Gaston has cards that help him gain power, the Horned King really only has like 2 of them. Which is Show Me the Cauldron. He has like 2 of those, and that's pretty much it. But Horned King has a serious power struggle. He has to play at least 3 cards that cost, or at least 4 cards that cost 3 power, and then have 2 power at the start of every one of his turns to make a Cauldron born. and it's just a lot to shuffle. You play all your ancient soldiers, and then you're constantly going back and forth between locations, just gaining power so you have enough to play the Cauldronborn. And you can only do that once per turn, so you have to take at least 4 turns after getting like the Cauldron flipped over and stuff to start making Cauldronborn. And honestly, he's a really slow villain. His Fate deck doesn't do much about him, and honestly, he's just kind of boring. Wish they did more with the Horned King, but honestly, when it comes to Theme Madness, I mean, I think they kind of nailed the Horned King, but, you know, a boring goal for a boring villain. Alright. So, yeah, we've definitely spent a while talking about Despicable Plots. Now, let's get to the next set, and I cannot actually believe that this set is... I'm just blasting music outside. I'm actually going to switch around a couple things over here. Hang on. Oh, wait. Just a minute. Hang on. Alright, getting on to the next set, which I can't actually believe is this low. I did not expect this set to be this low at all. It's actually, crazy to me, but it's mostly because of just one villain, and that was the first 2-character expansion we ever got, Sugar and Spite. Now, I know, like we talked about, well, we're doing 20 sets, and this is in 14th place. This is in the bottom half of the list. I know a lot of people really like Sugar and Spite, but it's mostly for King Candy. But, you know, there's 2 villains in this set to go off of, and it's Shere Khan and King Candy. And while King Candy can be fun sometimes, Shere Khan is just so boring to play. He sucks. So, King Candy is fun in the sense that he did introduce the racetrack concept, where his board doesn't have 4 locations. He's actually driving around in a figure 8 racetrack, which is his board, and his board is just all 1 location with 4 segments. But King Candy's fun, but once again, if you can't find Ralph's Hero Medal, it's going to take you so long to start. And once again, he's one of those villains, like the Horned King, that you have to take multiple turns to win with, and there's nothing you can do about it, because every turn you're just moving, racing the token, and but it might take you the entire game just to get that token out, and by the time you're done defeating Wreck-It Ralph and putting the glitch on Vanellope and everything, the other villains are going to be winning already. And also there's some of his, like, the placement of his actions, like the Fate action and the Vanquish action. I think I literally, what I describe King Candy as is I describe King Candy as a rough draft of what he could have been, is how I describe King Candy. I think if they spent like another year on King Candy, they could have made him one of the best villains of all time. But he's not. So, but let's talk about the absolutely miserable time that is playing Shere Khan. God, I do not enjoy playing this villain at all. Shere Khan has to defeat Mowgli. That's another generic defeat one single hero in your deck goal. But Shere Khan is like, you either win really fast or you don't win at all. You could get a card to get Mowgli out and have your monkeys out and vanquish him all like really soon. But also, if you don't get any of those cards, you could then get fated the whole game and have fire tokens constantly covering up your actions, making you not able to do anything. And I've played games with Shere Khan like that, where he'd have all 4 of his fire tokens on the board, of course, at all the worst locations for them to be on for him. And it would just be an absolutely miserable time playing him. I can't tell you, I don't think I've ever actually had fun playing Shere Khan at all. And sometimes I don't have fun playing King Candy, and sometimes I do have fun playing King Candy. So Shere Khan completely drags down this set, and King Candy sometimes completely drags down this set. And it just being 2 villains, it's not as worth it as the other 3 villain sets are. But it's the 2 villains in this set. King Candy carries this set, and King Candy's definitely my favorite of all the Disney villains that we've talked about so far. I think this set's definitely better than Despicable Plots, and leagues ahead of Bigger and Badder. Alright, so we're talking about the next set, which I know a lot of people love playing this villain, and this villain is one of my favorites to play, but it is Oogie Boogie. Now, Oogie Boogie is probably my favorite villain to play since Perfectly Wretched came out. Like, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 villainous sets, 6 Disney villainous sets ago. With Villainous Unstoppable, 7 Disney villainous sets ago. Oogie Boogie's probably my favorite villain to play since then. But once again, I just can't get past it being a single character expansion. It has by far the best card sleeve. But the Target exclusive mover, the glow in the dark one, it just isn't really worth it. Like, I'm not going to just set this up on my windowsill and keep it out of the box forever so it glows, because where is it going to be glowing? It's going to be glowing in the box where you're never going to see it. So they kind of made him like a display, like the glow in the dark piece, like a display piece. And the glow in the dark does fit the Halloweeny theme that they were going with this single character Oogie Boogie expansion. And yes, while the dice mechanic and just Oogie Boogie in general are one of my favorite villains to play, he's definitely in my top 10. It's just, it's a single character expansion. So I can't say that he's more worth buying than the next sets that we're talking about. But by no means is Oogie Boogie a bad villain. I would just rather spend my money on all the sets above him than that set. And the next set we are getting to is the first Star Wars set, and that is Revenge at Last. Dang, cannot believe that Darth Maul's set is this low. It comes with 2 very fun villains in Captain Phasma and Darth Maul, but not only this is kind of tied because I cannot decide between these 2 sets. Tied with Revenge at Last is our newest Disney set, and that is Treacherous Tides. I didn't expect any of these like last 4 sets that we've talked about to be this low on the list, but after we got out of after we talked about Despicable Plots, I love all of these sets, and it was so hard to choose. Like, you guys have no clue. This ranking took me hours to think of, and I'm still not even sure about some of it. And the things I weren't sure about was definitely these 2 sets, which one I liked more. So I'm gonna move my camera down a little bit so I can see what I'm recording. So, the villains we're talking about here is we got Revenge at Last, which is Darth Maul and Captain Phasma. And then the Disney set, Treacherous Tides, we got Davy Jones and Tamatoa. So let's talk about Revenge at Last first. So Captain Phasma and Darth Maul, I'd probably actually put them above Treacherous Tides because I do like both of the villains. I think I want to say I like Captain Phasma just a little bit more than Darth Maul, which pains me to say, because you have one of the most legendary villains of all time with one of the coolest goals in Villainous, and then you have one of the worst, most forgettable Star Wars villains of all time. But her goal is really fun, trying to promote the Stormtroopers to higher ranks by killing heroes and sacrificing other Stormtroopers. And just making her whole board, it feels like you're raising an army. But Darth Maul has the truly evil-feeling goal of defeating a hero of another hero, where he has to whittle the hero's willpower down to the point where they're just a shell of themselves. And then he has to bring them back up and train them as his apprentice and have them kill another hero. Really fun set, but I think that the other 3 Star Wars sets are just better, because not only does this only come with 2 villains, and the first 2 Star Wars sets one comes with 3 villains and one comes with 5. But we actually got all of our 2 character expansions down here. I'm starting to see a trend. Except one. The Star Wars set that we'll talk about in the far, far future. Then we got Davy Jones and Tamatoa. Now, Davy Jones, this is kind of like a King Candy situation. Davy Jones is super, super fun. Tamatoa, not so much. It's kind of like a Sugar and Spite situation, where one villain I don't really enjoy playing too much, and one villain I really like playing. I like playing Davy Jones even more than King Candy or Shere Khan or Darth Maul or Captain Phasma. Oh god. I grew up watching the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, specifically the first two, and the second one was the one I watched the most with Davy Jones, and he scared me so much as a kid. And I love the pirate aesthetic, and Davy Jones is one of my favorite villains ever. I am so happy that we got him in a Villainous set. And I don't think his goal is bad. I think he is the best villain that we've gotten since Perfectly Wretched, along with Oogie Boogie. Him and Oogie Boogie are probably tied on my list. But Tamatoa is ever uninteresting to me. I mean, I never really got into the Moana movie. I've seen Moana. I like Moana, but and Tamatoa is definitely actually the best part of that film. He really is. But I was just never interested in playing him in Villainous. I never even thought of him being a villain. Like, I have occasionally. I'm like, I mean, Tamatoa is a villain, but he's not even the main villain of the film he's in, and he's only in like 5 minutes of the movie. So what did they do with all of his cards? It's just his face on every card. You know, they did what they could. And his goal is just uninteresting. He's like a glorified Ursula, where he has to have the Heart of Tafiti and the hook in his lair, but the hook can get attached to Maui, so you have to defeat Maui. Did I say Maui? I almost said Maui. And the Heart of Tafiti can get attached to Moana, so you'll have to defeat Moana. Now, Tamatoa's gimmick is he has the Maui deck, and every time while Maui's on his board, at the beginning of every turn, Tamatoa has to draw from that Maui deck, and they're kind of like instant effects from Magic the Gathering. You draw one, and it's an effect, and you do that immediately. And sometimes it can actually really help Tamatoa. Sometimes it can really screw over Tamatoa. Like there's the shark head and the shark tail. One of them gives 2 strength to allies and 1 strength to heroes, and one of them gives 2 strength to heroes and 1 strength to allies. And that could actually really help Tamatoa in defeating Maui or Moana. And yeah, I just don't find it super interesting because you'll play more Tamatoa games than you think where you won't even have Maui on your board. So you won't do anything with the Maui deck, really. And it kind of just makes him just boring. Davy Jones, on the other hand, is very fun with where he has to play heroes and give them treasure tokens. But he also has to flip over that treasure token, then he can defeat the hero. Now, probably the worst thing I say about Davy Jones is that he does take a long time to get started. But if you get a good setup of allies, you can actually do some pretty fun combos. But having to reveal the treasure and stuff, like, it's a little, I feel like one thing they could have done to make it more fun was I think they could have just completely scrapped the revealing treasure token mechanic. And whenever you defeated that hero, you would get to see what the treasure token was, and the treasure token would do something then. And it could have made the game like a lot more fun and more scary to playing as Davy Jones, because, you know, some of the treasures are bad, but some of them could be good. Actually, I'm pretty sure all 5 of his treasure tokens are actually bad. But but yeah, both of these sets are pretty much tied. Definitely my least favorite to play out of these 4 villains is definitely Tamatoa. Darth Maul and Captain Phasma are more or less tied, and Davy Jones is probably my favorite to play out of all of them. So I'd probably put this set just a teensy-weensy bit above this one, but as you saw, I put the Darth Maul set above them like 2 seconds ago. It's simple, I literally just can't choose between these 2 sets. But yeah, they are fun sets, they are very fun sets. Kind of wish the card sleeve was a little better for the Treacherous Tides box, and wish the Tamatoa didn't get the special piece. But, alright, we are finally getting back into, actually, no, we're not. Here's the next one. This was the first Villainous set that I ever saw, so this one kind of holds a special place for me. You know what? No, I can't. Oh, man, I'm deciding between 2 again. I gotta look at these boxes. I gotta do it. No, we're getting back into Marvel territory with Twisted Ambitions. The next Marvel Villainous set, our newest Marvel Villainous set, actually. And this set came out a whopping, like, 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember. It's definitely not the newest set. It's been a hot minute since it's. I'm pretty sure it's 2 years old because it's been 2 years since we got a Marvel. Yeah, because the last 2 years have been Disney and Star Wars. Yeah, it's been a hot minute since we got a Marvel Villainous set. Kind of feels like they kind of forgot it, even though they've come out and publicly said all Villainous lines are going strong. I just don't know why they haven't expanded it. But this set consists of um, a pretty big Marvel villain in King the Conqueror, a villain that I had no clue existed in Titania, and Dr. Octopus, of course, who is on the front. I feel like they missed the opportunity to make this a silver box, like our first silver box. But I see they made it yellow just so it would work with the card sleeve. Hang on a second. Okay, anyway. So I like playing two of these villains. One villain I don't enjoy too much, and that is Titania. I don't really enjoy playing Titania at all. She has to defeat She-Hulk with herself. So Titania is basically a walking vanquish action. You can use her herself. She herself has a strength, and you can use her herself to defeat heroes. And if she defeats a hero with more or equal strength to her, she'll actually gain strength. And when she gains full strength, you gotta find a She-Hulk and defeat She-Hulk while she is at full strength. It just takes such a long time to get her up to that point. And with the way her actions are on her board, sometimes it could be like an absolutely miserable to defeat She-Hulk. Like, you have to play She-Hulk with an activate action, but she's going to be at a location. But the only activate action you can have on your board is at the top of your board at one of your locations. So you play She-Hulk there. The She-Hulk you're most likely going to play is Titania's version, which makes it so allies and items at her location can't use their ability. So you're going to have no vanquish action there, even with the Wrecking Crew, because they can't use their ability. So then you have to go through all the work to try to play some card you probably don't even have in your hand to move She-Hulk somewhere else. So yeah, it's kind of difficult, and it's pretty annoying. Next one we're going to talk about Kang the Conqueror. I think Kang the Conqueror is fun, but he's really confusing. Like, even in my Marvel Villainous tournament, I actually played Kang wrong in the first match because he just has so many rules. I forgot the key one of his variants not covering the top actions. I think. I'm pretty sure I forgot that rule. Kang's fun, but the interesting part of him is his variance, and it pretty much just dies there. Other than that, like, his cards don't really do much. It's fun how you can mess with other people's decks, but that's fun for like a turn, and then it's just like, I'm just going to go back and forth playing the same cards and just discarding all my cards until I draw a robot duplicate. He's one of those villains. But then we got my like second favorite villain in Marvel Villainous to play, and that is Doc Ock, who just completely saves this set. Doc Ock is so fun. He's like Pete on... He's like Pete, but insane. So he has to complete 5 schemes. He has 6 schemes total in his deck, and he has to complete them. He can play them without a play card action, and some of them are really hard to complete. Like any of the schemes where you have to have no heroes on your board, or the scheme where you have to defeat a Spider-Man, which you'll have to use your specialty constantly to try to find a Spider-Man, like one single Spider-Man card in a Fate deck that's like this big. That's probably the one scheme I never complete. And I think he's really fun. So many combos you can do with him. I never have a bad time playing Doc Ock. He used to be my least favorite in the set, actually, until I discovered the strategy with him, because I could just not win with him for the life of me. Yeah, Doc Ock, super freaking fun. And he definitely saves this set from being lower than the last two we talked about. I don't think Kang is bad. I don't enjoy Titania, like, at all. Kang is just okay. But, yep, Twisted Ambitions, newest Marvel set. Hope we get another one next year. Oh, and I keep kicking my tripod. Alright, this was the set it was, like, tied with. This is the first Villainous set I ever seen, and that was Evil Comes Prepared. Now, the way I found Villainous was we were on the way to my dad's friend's house for his daughter's birthday, and she was a kid, so we were just going through the toy aisle looking for like a little toy to grab her for her birthday or something. And I was walking among the shelves that are out front of the toy aisles, and I saw this. And this was literally right in the middle of my Disney phase, where I started getting into all the Disney movies and trying to watch all them. And I'm like, wait, that says Disney? Is that Scar? And then it's like Evil Comes Prepared, and I saw Villainous, and I turned the box around, and I just knocked a villain over, and I seen Ratigan and Scar at the top, and I'm like, wait, what is this? So I immediately went home, well, after the birthday party, of course. I went home, looked it up, and saw they had an even bigger box in The Worst Takes It All. And I'm like, wait, this is insane. Like, there's a freaking board game where I can play as Disney villains, and it's thematic, and it has art from the movies. And it was just it's just a completely different board game from anything I've ever seen. Where a bunch of board games, you play on one board, whether it be against whether it be against or cooperative. But this game completely changed it up, where each of you have your own board, and it's a board game mixed with a card game, pretty much. And you were able to play as some of the coolest villains that cinema has ever seen. Especially Scar being my favorite. Scar being my favorite Disney villain, but not only is he my favorite Disney villain, he's actually like my second favorite to play out of all of these villains. He is so fun to play. Let's talk about the only bad villain in this box, and that is Yzma. I am not a fan of Yzma. I think the way that they did Yzma is the best way they could have done Yzma, where she has her fate deck split across her 4 locations, and you have to find Cusco in there. You can either win really quickly or take a long time to win based on how early you find Cusco. Like, you could get lucky. With my luck, usually I always find Cusco in the last fate deck that I look at. But yeah, I just don't find Yzma all that enjoyable, especially with all the cards that can bring Tipo and Chaka back after you already had to defeat them before defeating other villains. But oh my god, I keep dropping stuff. Ugh, that annoys me. Sorry. I hate dropping stuff. It's like my biggest boiling point is dropping stuff. Nothing makes me more angry. Alright, so definitely the 2 best villains in this box are Scar and Ratigan, and when I say best, I mean it. These 2 are so fun. I'll be right back. Okay, where was I? Yes. Scar and Ratigan being 2 of the best Disney villains. Now, they're not the best, but they are definitely 2 of the best. Some of my favorites to play. I will happily play Scar or Ratigan anytime, any day, anywhere. So fun. Ratigan he was the villain he's the goal token villain. He's the villain with 2 goals. So his first goal is to end his turn with the robot, or begin his turn with the Robot Queen at Buckingham Palace. The Robot Queen starts as the most expensive card in the game and I think still the most expensive card out of all of these sets, at 15 power. But you will, 1 in 10 games pay almost full power for the Robot Queen, because you have so many cards that'll knock the cost down. Of course, your main one being Gears, which you could pay for 1 power for. And basically, whenever you play an item, you can discard Gears to knock that item's cost down by 3. So you have all those out. You can play the Robot Queen for free and start moving it over. That's really fun. But then, if the Robot Queen gets discarded for some reason, pretty much there's only one way it'll ever get discarded, and that's with Basil. If it gets discarded, the game actually kind of becomes easier for you, because you flip your goal token over, and now your goal is to defeat Basil, who will definitely already be on your board, and it's not going to take you that long to defeat Basil. That's for sure. Unless you just absolutely don't have the Belle or Felicia on your board, and they're both in your discard pile for some reason. But yeah, such a fun time playing Radigan. He is a little confusing to get at first, but I just have so much fun with him. And next up we have Scar, who is just so fun to play. He was the original Defeat Heroes villain. And he does it well, for sure. He has to start the game off by finding Mufasa through his Fate deck, and that could take really long, but you have to defeat Mufasa. And Mufasa is going to give you 6 strength in your succession pile. When you defeat Mufasa, then you can start the game. So you already have 6 strength in your succession pile. You got to kill heroes, adding up to 15 strength. And you got to start your turn with 15 strength in your succession pile. So Scar's really fun. I tend to favor the villain defeating goals. I don't know why. I just really like it. You know, it makes you feel evil. And is Scar like super thematic? Kinda. He could definitely, it could definitely help him be more thematic, but I think they did Scar really well here. And it has a special place because it was the first Villainous set that I ever seen. Not the first one I bought. I bought all the Villainous sets in order, actually. I started off with the green one, then the purple one, then the orange one. Okay, I accidentally talked about more sets than I wanted to. This is just the part 1. I will be back with part 2 later today. But we have talked about 11 of the 20 sets so far. We are over halfway done with the sets. But I think I need to take a little break from talking because it is a lot of talking. And usually I ramble on longer than this in my videos, but, you know, sometimes it's just, you know, I can't do it. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and then I'll start filming part 2. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.